of business is the motion to approve telephonic participation in the meeting. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion, Mr. Mayor.
We have a motion by Mr. McDermott. Do we have a second?
I second Valerie.
Valerie seconded.
Yes.
Okay. All in favor, we'll do a roll call vote. Tammy?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
And Valerie?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. At this time, we'd like to open the public comment section. This is open to the public. If you want to make a comment, please send Melissa a chat stating your name and address, and then we will go in the order in which we receive the chats.
And if you're only by phone, you can hit *9. I don't see anyone asking to speak.
Okay.
Let's
Hearing
give
no-
them a minute.
Oh, I see one that's wishing to speak. I'm going to unmute the phone number ending in 3344. Okay. Phone number ending in 3344. Would you please state your name and your address?
Otis, right?
Otis.
Yeah.
How long have you had your hand up, Otis?
I'm at home, but I can hear everything. Can't get none.
Okay, so we're all here.
Okay, Otis is
Yeah.
present. We're all accounted
All
for.
righty, good.
Otis, can I get your vote on the telephone participation? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Okay, just for the record. Oh, scared to talk again. Okay, there we go. Next item, hearing no public comments, we'll move on to the staff reports. We have the police chief's report in your packet. Are there any questions on the report or any statements from David?
Mr. Mayor, the only comment.
Good evening, everyone.
Go ahead, David.
I said, good evening, everyone. I just wanted to know I was here.
Good evening, David. Mr. Mayor, the only comment I would make is that we need to get the policy manual updated. What's the status on that?
The status on that is that it is in my, it's on my to-do list to finish up.
Have a time frame on that, Andrea?
I'm hoping in the next 30 to 60 days.
Okay. Any way to accelerate that?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to need to go to council. So even if it's 30 days,
Right.
yeah. Do you want it for the June meeting?
It would be very nice to have that if you can get it done by then.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
The other issue is for personnel on there in regards to meeting with the chief in regards to the renewal of his contract. Has that been scheduled?
He's talked to me and Mark about that, yes.
Okay, so that's in process.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you for the update. Appreciate that, Deborah.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next item on the report is obviously we had the March and April report for the police chief, and then we'll move on to the March and April report of the Public Works and Utilities. I did notice that we did have some issues with the shortage of toilet paper causing other things to go down the drain. Has that slowed down any, Billy?
looks like we might have lost Billy. I don't see him.
Okay. I mean, it's,
He's on there. He's on the.
Yes.
I see him, but he's muted.
He's muted.
There you are.
Yeah, we can hear you now, Billy.
Okay. Yeah, we have, I have a guy coming in on weekends that's, we're checking the lift stations. We have been getting quite a few rags and wipes and things like that. We're trying to keep them out of the pump so I don't burn any of them up. And we're getting some in the plant that are causing some issues with the our RAS and wasting pumps, but we've been able to catch them before it becomes a catastrophe. But we're working on it.
do we want to?
Excuse me?
I was just going to ask staff if we wanted to put something out on social media regarding a reminder to not flush anything other than toilet paper. It's causing us unnecessary work and potential damages.
I think that would be.
Yeah, that'd be great. Plus, there are also all the other local counties. They're putting it on the radio also. So I'm sure they've been. If you listen to the radio, you'll hear it on there. Spotsylvania, Fredericksburg.
Billy, can you identify a specific area where that's creating the problem?
Mostly it's, it's like paper towels and of course some wipes. They say they're flushable, but they're really not. And, with this virus, they're just using a lot more than usual.
Is there a particular lift station that's more of a problem?
No, they're probably all about the same really now.
Okay. If it's one area, we can maybe go do some door hangers or something like that. But if it's everywhere, we're going to have to do a mass broadcast.
Yeah, that would be best, I would think, because everything's vulnerable. We got another person licensed, so we're short one more, and he's tentatively scheduled for sometime in June. That's the quickest we can get him in there to take his test. We've had a few breaks. Had one up in East Broadus. I've got the guys we're separating. We're using Joe Elsa's office until I don't know, probably another week or two, and then they'll be moving into town hall in the ballroom in the back.
What are you moving into there? Or why are you using Joe Elsa's office?
Well, she's been doing a lot of her work from home.
So we just
Maybe, I don't know.
So this is that what you're trying to do?
yes.
Okay.
And we had one guy.
Billy, explain to him, we're keeping the public works people separate and water people separated from the sewer people.
Okay, yeah. We did have one guy at the wastewater plant. He was quarantined for 14 days. It was his brother-in-law that lives with him that he got the virus, so he tested positive, so we kept him home.
Has he been retested?
Yeah, he's good. He's making work. We got a clean bill of health from the health department. He's good.
Good.
Okay.
That's about it. Any questions for me?
Don't believe so. We'll move on to Joe Elsa's report for March and April. Are there any highlights in March or any questions in April?
Hi, everyone. I think this will go down in history, this first Zoom town council meeting, but it's good to see everyone and to see some familiar faces.
It's better to be seen, though, than viewed.
I agree. I miss seeing people very, very badly. If anyone has any questions about my report, I'm happy to answer anything. Some basic highlights from March. Been working with the EDA and the Planning Commission to try to coordinate this future use map meeting. Obviously, we're in unprecedented times and we've had to make a lot of adjustments and rescheduling. The wine festival is canceled. I've been having weekly discussions with the owners of the property and the mayor. Obviously, as you all know, the executive order, it goes through June 10th. So the wine festival was scheduled for the 6th. The decision to cancel that was made in April 24th. But prior to that, in March, I was really pretty much just planning. As far as community relations go, I've been working with the BGBA, or in March, was working with the BGBA, Main Street group. We had a very productive meeting in March. As far as COVID-19 goes, in March, I began under the direction of the mayor and Andrea, contacting the restaurants in town and speaking with owners and managers about the state regulations, which was at that time, 10 or more people. In April, this last month, really was focused on canceling events, getting things canceled on websites like virginia.org, updating our town event calendar. We canceled Clean Sweep as well. And we've rescheduled the future use map meeting. I had a conversation with Jeff Voigt, who's on the meeting now. Had a conversation with him and John Lane about moving that collaborative meeting with the Planning Commission and landowners of the commercial corridor to June 22nd. I haven't come out with that formal invitation yet, but that decision was made. So we're hoping that we'll be able to meet in person by then, but we will, Jeff and I are going to make sure that people have a virtual option as well. Harvest Festival, I'm planning it. I've booked a couple of great bands over the last month. From a community relations standpoint, really enjoyed working with Council Member Howard on the Painted Horse, and I want to congratulate you on the new business. And it seems like you're really doing some innovative things to get the community involved, even from a virtual standpoint and a walk-by standpoint, and doing a great job promoting your products for Mother's Day and stuff. It's just been really fun to see a small business, a lot of our Bowling Green small businesses step up to the plate and kind of think outside of the box. I think you all may have seen social media. On social media, the Mix House has expanded their market to Mechanicsville, Hanover, Ashland. So they're doing delivery and specific pickup times. It's really great to see these Bowling Green businesses expand their markets and come up with innovative ideas. Roma's is doing a great job too. Again, I'm happy to answer any questions. I've been working very closely with the farmers market and making sure that the public is aware of that the farmers market opened. They made the decision to open on the 25th, last Saturday. Or Saturday before last, I should say. And I'm told they're practicing under social distancing guidelines. I've been updating our town website with relevant information with regard to COVID-19, executive state, the executive state orders, and providing website links for the Paycheck Protection Program, as well as small business emergency loans. and providing a list of banks, working with the county to make sure that we are providing lists of banks that are offering these avenues for our small businesses. That is about all I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
I got one question, Joelle. So on the wine festival, did we have any deposits out or any prepayments for anybody?
No, we did not, with the exception of the graphic artist that provided us with the marketing assets, the media assets for the event. We will pay her for her services, for the graphic services. I had those designs done so that I could print them in-house. So we haven't even printed anything. And I've asked that the graphic artist update or revise the media assets that we have for 2020 to just reflect the new date for 2021. They haven't been released to the public, so it'll still be new, exciting marketing material for next year. So that's also going to save us some costs.
Okay.
Next year.
Good.
Yes, I'll credit the property owner for helping, between Joelsa and her, they initiated this early on so that that's why we met weekly to slowly make this decision and not make just a rash decision. And at the same time, we didn't want to go forward and spend money that we didn't need to. So we tried to hold on. We tried to hold on as long as we could, but
yeah. Has Music on the Green been canceled, Joelsa?
Not yet, Deborah. We really want to see what these, every day it kind of changes. As you know, Northam kind of had his briefing and went over the phases and what we can expect in that regard last week. So as time goes on, we'll see. I'm very hopeful, and right now, Music on the Green is on. So I've got most of that talent booked, but again, we'll play that by ear as we get closer and determine kind of the overall state of health in our state and what the laws are.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Joelle, so do you have an update on Community Heart and Soul? Are they still in phase 1, moving towards phase 2? Where they're at?
Community Heart and Soul is, they've been meeting regularly. They've been doing a fantastic job on their social media and their presence. The last meeting that we had, which was, Mark can speak to this too because he was there and Tammy was too. But the last meeting that we had was really productive. You may have seen on social media. And Deborah was there too. We worked on some branding, the group decided on some branding. We got a local gal to do the logos and stuff, and pretty fantastic. So they're actively working together, and they have a good core group. Sam Fry is leading the group as the project coordinator for that. And the next meeting is a virtual meeting, which is set up for May 12th.
Great. Thanks so much.
Sure.
okay. Hearing no other questions for Joel, so we'll move on to item 7, the town clerk treasurer's monthly report for March and April.
I have one highlight, actually 2 highlights I'd like to point out, and then I'll take any questions. But we have gotten the first draft. We've gotten a draft audit report back from the auditor for FY18, and we're expecting the FY19 draft audit back soon. Once Reese and I have looked over the FY18 draft audit, have a couple comments for the auditors, we're going to send it back to them. And then once they present us with the FY19, we'll do the same thing. And we should have, hopefully very soon, have both audits to present to council, and we'll have the auditors come and speak on them. And the other thing I just kind of want to highlight is the office has been closed to the public since, I believe, March 16th was the first day we closed to the public. And we have a really great system going on where the public is still coming to the door and able to do transactions without coming in the building. We also have had situations where they've called in and set up a meeting, and we set them up in the Rappahannock reception room, and we're able to do distancing and clean out down the surfaces and all that. So I think it's been working really well. We haven't really had any complaints. We've been able to help everyone just as well, I think, as normal. So it's gone really smoothly in the office, and I just want to say thank you to the front office staff because they've really accommodated any way they need to. So, and other than that, if anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Sounds good, Melissa. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. Next item is the town manager's monthly report for March and April.
Just want to highlight in my written report is we selected a company, iWorks, to be the platform to use our GIS in management of our water and sewer plants and operations. And we've been working with web engineering on the input data that they'll need to provide us on the location of our valves, our fire hydrants, our meters, and training Billy and his staff on how to use that system to start putting inventory into it. A little follow-up on Melissa's. Two of the recommendations the auditor's going to make is that we adopt financial policies and procurement policies. I've been doing some research, and VLM had a model financial policy and some procurement policy manual material. I'll be taking that to the policy committee this month. Both the policies are pretty straightforward and standard type of policies. In addition, I'm going to be going to the budget policy committee about we're probably going to need to use some of our reserves for our water and sewer operations this year because of continuing maintenance problems. At the sewer plant, we're still having the equipment breakdown at the plant, and so we are in line to get a $30,000 grant to do a preliminary engineering report on what upgrades are needed down there, and hopefully, since we're already at the grant trigger, to get USDA to fund those upgrades, but that's on hold pending getting the audits. And finally, we sent the proof back to Mini Code. There was a lot of structural problems in some of the way they organized it. We sent it back to them, and they'll have a proof back to us by the end of May, and then we'll review it with Andrea and bring it to the Planning Commission and the council probably now sometime in July. And that's the end of my report.
Hold on, buddy.
A couple of questions, if you don't mind, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
Reese, you've got iWorkQ doing the logistics mapping. How much is that going to cost?
I believe we're going to also use it for our business licenses and our community development. I think the annual charge is around $11,000, but we're also going to be dropping our mobile 311, which I think is about $6,000. I can follow up and get you the exact numbers. Those are just off the top of my head, and they may be wrong. Melissa, do you have any numbers right now, or do we just need to go pull?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can find the contract and email that to council, the amount.
About $5,000 more than we had budgeted for that. On the wastewater treatment plant, the survey that's going to be done, about $30K. Do you think USDA is going to pick that design cost up?
Yes, that's the only way we're going to do it. And they indicated there was money there, and we had Reed Engineering put together a scope for the review, and they said it looked excellent, and they're ready to process it. It's just going to depend upon availability of money. When we started, there was money there. hopefully there'll still be money once we get the audit. If it isn't, we'll just have to be in holding pattern until funds become available.
Right. Now, when we're looking at that, Reese, I've looked at a couple of wastewater treatment plants lately. Do you have an idea of a magnitude, what that's going to look like in regards to what we need to renovate, or are we going to have to totally replace the plant?
No, we went through each piece of equipment and how the plant's operated. Shane Reed had some ideas on some modifications, but it's not going to be an upgrade of the plant because those are very expensive. It's just basically bringing what we have up to par and maybe doing a few things a little bit differently.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
And just as a note, I probably should have brought this up earlier on a agenda adjustment. In the town manager's report, you see where he was working with a citizen, Randy, can't say it, Maury Avenue, about his repairs. Yes. We're going to pull that from the agenda. There's more research that needs to be done. The property owners and the town manager and the building official from the county need to do some more investigating on that bill before we can make a true adjustment on what council's pleasure would be to do with that bill. So under new business, we'll be pulling item number 13 for future pending more information. Next item is our consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay. Tammy makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Second by Valerie. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Tammy?
Aye.
Deborah?
Yes.
Jean?
Aye.
Mark?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Otis?
Yes.
Valerie?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. That takes us to item 14, the water project.
Jason, can I ask you to back up 1 second? I think we missed under Reese's thing in regards to, do we need to have a discussion on the wastewater management letter that's in there? Force majeure, or is that as it stands? Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Just to notice that they sent out to all their customers.
Yeah, I read that. I don't think we've been affected by any service losses or shortages. I think they were just letting us know that
It's just a shot across the bow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, we're good. Thank you.
Okay. Item 13, we were removing until next month. Item 14 is the water project interim lender RFP. And we need the background on this, and we'll need a motion. The town has secured a letter of conditions for permanent funding for improvements to the town's water system from the USDA Rural Development in the form of a loan not to exceed $5.693 million and grants not to exceed $1,602,000 for a total long-term financing package of roughly $7.3 million. The loan from RD will be evidenced by the town's revenue bond, which will be payable solely from revenues of the town's water system. RD requires the town to obtain intern financing for project costs if it can obtain the financing on reasonable rates and terms. The intern loan would be paid off by RD permanent long-term financing on or about June 15, 2020, when the project has been completed. The attached RFP was sent to 11 lenders. We received one proposal, 4 responses indicating that the institutions would not be submitting proposals, and 6 institutions did not respond at all.
Wow.
You'll find attached the intern lender RFP, the intern finance and lender list, and the financing proposal from the one that we received from CoBank. So at this time, we're asking if there's a motion to approve the intern loan proposal with CoBank.
So let me ask a question. A lot with this loan at 7.3, the other USDA loan, that was about $4 million left on that, I think, for the water sewer project or the upgrades that we rolled everything together. Is that somewhere in the range?
I believe so.
Yeah, so we're looking at $11 million debt.
Yep.
Do we have the capacity to pay that off?
The rate structure, again, we are paying the sewer debt off through the general fund instead of through the revenues of the water, because part of that financing was for the 301 project, which also included some water.
That's tax
water
district.
lines.
Yes, correct. Tax district.
26% of it, or whatever that percentage is, from the tax district, and the rest of it's coming from the general fund.
Yep.
So that, but USDA has said going forward that all the projects have got to finance. Your enterprises have to be self-sufficient. You need to be generating the revenues to support that, and up to the 1.5, and they lowered that rate for us because our sewer rates, I can't remember the exact percentage, but we're at like 1.5 on that, but we're above the minimum trigger on the sewer side. So they looked at our totality of it, and they gave us a larger grant than we would under their ordinary circumstances. Now, the percentage they use, the reason we get such a low percentage of our income towards the water bill is because we're classified as a low-income community. Normal communities out there are expected to pay a higher percentage of their income towards water and sewer. So the rate structure that we're working towards over the next 3 years will be self-sufficient on paying for the project. In addition, we expect to see maintenance costs to go down precipitously as we're repairing and upgrading the system. And that's the path we went forward with on them. We did enter the agreement with Web Engineering. They've actually started to send their crews out there. And they said they'd be willing to wait for payment until we got this financing in place. And the way the financing works, as Jason read, is we spend down the loan amount, and then we close out the loan, the interim financing, and take out the loan with USDA, and all project costs after that point will be handled by grant. And like the sewer program, should we run short on the project, if there's grant funds available, we'll be able to secure it. So I mentioned that just in case anybody's concerned about the interest during construction. If that comes a little bit high, I believe that we'll be able to pick it up on the other end through grant dollars. But
I guess my concern. Go ahead.
Yeah. Pretty much, we committed to USDA that we were going to go forward with supporting it. That's why we have the first step on the 10%. We were working with CIRCAP to put together a new rate structure that's a little bit more tiered. However, we didn't get that done because of illness at CIRCAP. And so we're doing 10% this year, and then next year we'll come in with a plan for the final it'll probably be over a 2 to 3 year period that will move up in increments until we hit the target rate.
So am I hearing you saying that the future for the next 3 years, we're gonna raise the rates enough so we can cover the $7.3 million loan going forward? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I just want to clarify real quick, Glenn. It's only a $5.6 million loan. The 1.6 is a grant. So
Okay,
the
so,
long-term finance, it would just for clarification, it's 5.6 million.
okay.
5.7.
Yeah.
And I wonder too, if you could let us know what would the average rate be at 10%, that we would see actually in the bill? Because you're just talking about the water rate, is that correct?
That's right. Sewer rate, we're not going to move because we've already hit theirs, and hopefully any improvements that we have to do on the sewer side will be entirely grant eligible.
So you're probably looking
on
at
this-
so on the average person who pays their water bill, and say they do the minimum amount, that would be 10% of what they currently pay. If you were to break that down, would you tell them, please, what that would probably look like? Say, just an example.
Melissa, do you know off the top of your head what our average water bill is?
Yes, the
Bi-monthly.
average, the minimum water bill, I believe, is $34 and some change bi-monthly. So it would be just under 40, it'd be like $38 every 2 months would be a minimum. The water only, that's
So
in town.
that's-
Out of town is
and so
double the
that's-
rate.
So it'd be
What's
10%.
that on a month?
Yeah,
We're
10%.
looking at like,
correct? $3 to
Correct.
$4 every 2
It's
months.
less than $4 every 2 months for a minimum bill in town.
Great. Just want
so
to
it's
clarify.
about $2 a month.
Yeah, thank you.
And in relationship, and I showed that, and I can at the budget hearing, is we have one of the lowest water rates in the whole state. And that means from small communities, not only large communities, but for small communities of similar size and income as us. It's been underpriced, unfortunately. And that's why we continually have water breaks in the entire system.
So Reese, a quick question for you. You and I had a discussion a while back. When you raise the water rates by 10%, that's going to generate about $38,000 in that ballpark range. I'm having a hard time figuring out how $38,000 over the next 3 years, a couple of times, is going to get us enough money to pay for a $5.6 million loan.
The budget, again, the repair and maintenance, we're spending 160. I don't know the number off the top of my head. I'd have to pull my budget sheet out, but we're spending, a couple $100,000, or by the time we get through the last couple of years, we've been spending a couple $100,000 just repairing mains and replacing mains. That should go down quite a bit. Plus, once we go to monthly billing and radio read, we should be able to reduce staff time for reading meters and what have you. So going in the future, we probably will be able to realign some of the time that's allocated to the water system to public works, and may be able to reduce staffing levels in the future. But the budget really looks at lowering your operating costs, your repair and maintenance costs quite a bit by fixing the water mains.
I understand what you're saying, but I'd like to see that penciled out in a spreadsheet for the next. How long is the loan for?
30 years.
Okay, I'd like to see some analysis.
I
on it.
believe the loan is 40 years.
It's 40 years. And I believe, am I correct, that we've already approved to move forward with this, and this is just the interim financing? So
Yes, that's correct.
the process of accepting this money is already done. We've got to find the money to hold us over until we get the grant.
Now also, Reese, what was that amount that I got from you about the water breaks from January until now? How much was that we've spent already? Was that over 100 grand?
Well,
I mean, you know,
This year,
I'm just,
we've already spent over $105,000, and
Right.
we've got more bills in the works, and that's why we're coming back to you next month. Plus, you know, we have we had $60,000 in the budget for fire hydrants and meter replacement. Those type of costs are all going to come out of the budget.
and all those costs will also drop.
Yeah, those costs will go away because
Yeah.
we're going to be using the grant to do that.
So it's either pay me now or pay me later.
But as part of the proposal, there was a budget put together that after construction supported the operation of the system. The budget was put together by Web Engineering and myself, and USD made some adjustments to it. They actually took some money out of some replacement costs that we want to include, but they felt that we could do that out of our annual operations. So I can give you what was in the PER that shows that the loan will be supported, but you know, the fact of the matter is you're going to be doing those rate increases and just doing increasingly more and more patches. And the pattern we've seen is once you do one patch, you create higher pressure on the pipeline a little bit further down the road, and you blow that out, and then you put another patch in, and it causes it to blow out further down the road.
Well,
and getting people.
I'd like to just I'd like to rein us back in on the discussion of what the motion that's at hand, and that's the financing.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for the interim financing
with CoBank.
I'll second it.
Mark, I think we just need to identify the lender that we're going to do that with. CoBank.
RFP or whatever it is.
With CoBank.
Which bank?
It's CoBank.
CoBank. I'm sorry. Yes. Then I make a motion that we go with CoBank for the interim lending for this grant.
We have a motion by Mark and a second by Deborah. Is there any further discussion?
Can I just ask a question, Reese? With this money in the bank then, in our pocketbook, what does our debt ratio come out to?
I can't tell you off the top of my head, and that's one of the things that we're going to be putting together in the fiscal report, the guidelines.
Okay.
Shouldn't we know that before we commit to that?
Well, this is a revenue bond.
Oh.
Yeah, the debt ratio percentages generally are used as a guideline on how much you're going to put on your general obligation, and that is, by the way, what secures the sewer project is a general obligation bond, and there you normally do want to put a percentage of that. Revenue bonds aren't secured by the assets of the town, your general taxing power. They're just backed up by the revenues of the utility that's borrowing money. So you're not as at risk. So basically, the loans on those systems are analyzed more on the utility's ability to pay the loans.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. I know that you had a spreadsheet, but I don't recall that that documentation, spreadsheet documentation justifying the payment of this was submitted to the council, was it?
The PER and that information was presented. That here's what the target rate was. It was in the agreement. I can provide that. I mean, USDA wouldn't give loans. USDA wouldn't give us the loan if they didn't think they told us here's the rate we need to charge loan.
Yeah, I understand that. I have an issue there, but we have a community that has a pretty fixed income, and you know, increasing for the next 10, 20, 30 years. You said 3. It's obviously not going to be 3. because 3 years won't get you enough to make this happen. So that has to stretch out into the future. So, I mean, we have to be cognizant of, the fixed income of the community that we have.
We also
And I
have
understand.
the lines in the ground too. We don't have no water.
I totally agree with that. I don't have a problem with that, but we need to have that.
But Glenn, you also got to understand, the goal is to bring us up to a certain point where we can get funding for that. And it's the same concept that we went through with the sewer project.
I understand that, Deborah, but we start stacking and stacking and stacking. How much can this community afford to pay?
Well, I don't think we can
That's-
afford. Yeah, I'm more concerned about, I think a few dollars every 2 months is not going to make a big difference, as if we keep spending money spending and repairing these lines the way they are, and our, we don't have a choice.
Right.
I mean, really, truly, there's nothing more important in this town than our lives. And
Totally
we've already
agree.
voted on that, so I think right
I've
now.
always said that, but we've got to make sure that we're prudent with the dollars that this community has. Because quite frankly, guys, I mean, you know the demographics of our community. So we have to be very cognizant of that when we make these decisions.
And I agree, Glenn. And I agree. This is speaking from somebody that's been now on council for many years, and I fully regret not making these incremental changes over the years at smaller rates. Somebody's got to mute because we have a bad echo. I don't know. It started when Reese was talking. Is anybody else hearing it?
Yes.
Reese, do you mind? There you go.
No, you.
I just would like to keep saying that, I regret on the 8 years I was on council previously of not doing, 1 or 2% increase over the years. So then we don't have to hit these big marks. But, I understand the demographics, but I also understand we want to have a town for the next 50 to 60 years. And if you don't have a water system and everybody has to go put in a well, that cost is going to be extravagant too. So it's either, I don't want the increase as much as anybody else does, but if it means that we can save those repair monies and put it into a new system, and that's what we can hang our hat on, that we're leaving for the next generation. We've repaired the sewer lines that got us to where we are today. We're going to have a water system that'll get us to where our kids and grandkids will have a system. So I don't want to spend the extra money, but it's either pay me now or pay me later.
I get that concept, but there are alternatives. And since there are people, I get demographics, I get the fixed income. Perhaps we need to think of a tiered assistance program for low income or fixed income. Maybe we need to do something alternative for people that have the cost based on the income level and not on the capacity level. I don't know. I mean, there are possible alternatives instead of us going back to shoulda, coulda, woulda, because that's not going to get us anywhere. We all know the demographics. It is great, and I truly appreciate the information Melissa gave us on South Hill, et cetera, but we don't have the employers in our area like South Hill does. We don't have the benefit of being on the water. So we may have to consider going to an alternative assistance program to help those people that can't or will have a challenge in the future. Given our present financial economic situation, in the next 2 to 3 years, people are going to be paying more in, whether it be the water bill, whether it be taxes. The fact is, Uncle Sam gave everybody a stimulus. They're going to want their money back in 3 years or so, and people are going to pay for that through taxes. So we need to figure out how to help people now, plus get our new water system that we need desperately. We all need to drink water, and it's better clean than gray.
And I agree that we do need to look at, those assistance programs. And I just want to remind everybody that we are on the discussion of the interim financing. But Valerie, I think majority of this council, if not all of council, would entertain, if it's feasible, to give a different rate class to different individuals based off of their financial standards. we need to explore that. But
Yes.
right now, I mean, it is what it is. We don't have that program in place at this time. So
It's something
I
to think
think-
in the future. I agree with you totally. If you consider
I
it.
agree.
I'd like to say a few words on income. Is they used our income. That's why they're giving us such a low percentage of our income. To put things in perspective, they're giving each user of our water system over a $1,600 grant a year. The number Melissa quoted, the water bill is $204 a year. So they're taking in consideration that we're a low-income community, that they're giving us a subsidized interest rate, and they're giving us grants that is equivalent to 8 years of current average water rate collection from our users. So the discussion, I understand that we are on fixed income, but those things have been taken into consideration to give what is a financial offering to this community that is above and beyond what any other community in most of America gets. And to say that spending, 10% on a $200 a year bill is $20. That's still, what else can you get pure water for that much a year? So I understand the sensitivity of it, but we've been very sensitive to that throughout this whole process to do this. And when you include what they have done on the sewer side, we're looking at $4,000 a user in grants from the USDA. And again, on the combined bill, that's multiple years of one could say, free service, recognizing our financial plight.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. Is there any further discussion or are we ready for a vote?
Ready?
Ready?
Roll call vote. Tammy,
Yes.
Deborah,
Yes.
Jean,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
Otis,
Yes.
Valerie.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is our FY 2021 proposed budget, tax rate, and utility rates. And just a reminder to the public, this is the first hearing of the budget. We will have a time where we will have a public comment, and we will do our best based on our current conditions to have a meeting in public where we can have people come and represent themselves. We have not chosen to do electronic meetings to benefit us. It's only to benefit the town that we can actually get business done while we're in these conditions. So I've received a couple calls about concerns about wanting to have a public hearing, and I want to know the public to know that we will do all we can to have an in-person meeting if it's allowed, and if we can provide a safe environment for council and our citizens. But with that being said, I believe we'll turn this over to the town manager for a presentation on the budget.
And Melissa, I'm requesting screen sharing.
Okay. Sorry, I don't see your request. I'm looking for it.
I just hit the screen share and it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Okay. All right, that should try again. Are you able to share now, Reese?
Well, I just put up the presentation. Wait. Yeah, there we go. Can everybody see?
Right?
Yes.
Yes.
Just for for keeping this organized as best we can, if you have a comment or a question, can you state your name until you're called on so we don't have multiple people trying to talk at the same time? Thank you.
Okay. The assumption I used in putting together this year's budget that tax and utility rates would only increase where required. We also looked at, because of the current situation, what taxes may have a negative impact. And I'm getting a lot of feedback from somebody. The business and license.
At this point, why don't we have all the council mute your mics until you need to speak?
Okay. The fee that we think will be impacted the most will be the business license because it's done on a calendar year. And obviously we're going to have several months this year where business activity for businesses in town are going to be severely impacted. So we took into account the impact on business licenses and why we had our bank franchise tax came in almost double over last year's tax. I didn't use the revenues we got this year. In past years, we've looked back and used that as what we'll get next year. It has been growing over the last several years, but we discounted that also. Not sure what don't want to count on a continuing increase in that. And finally, the last step is we continue to try to make our compensation plan competitive with surrounding jurisdictions, particularly with our licensed operators. And last year, we implemented the pay scales to be competitive on par with Caroline County. And this year, we're following through by offering, they do their health benefits where they extend it to on a cost share basis to the family. So we're holding, as stated earlier, we're holding our sewer rate as we did last year at that level because we have hit the target number that USDA says we have to, and we're trying to collect grants to do the whatever upgrades we've got to do on that side. So we need to show USDA that we're committed to bring those rates up to cover that target revenue number to pay off the loan and operate our system. So this year will be 10%, and next year we'll come back with the final multi-year plan. Trash collection, we had 1 year left on our current contract where we could negotiate extension of that. We tried to see in waste management wanted to have a 3% increase on that, the regional office. We put it out to bid, in which the home office then puts together their proposals based upon their current cost structure. And the bids we received back were in the range of 14 and 15% increase. And actually waste management was 15% and county waste was 14%. So the consultation with the budget committee, we decided that we exercised the last year option at 3%. However, we don't have that option next year. So unless the climate changes, like we're going to be looking at double-digit increases in the solid waste collection. The special tax district was, we had some money that we collected 2 years ago when we were estimating our debt service costs because we didn't know we were going to close when we were going to close on the USDA program. We closed a little bit earlier than we had anticipated, so we over collected the year before. So we had that additional $6,000. We applied that to last year's tax rate, which brought it down to, I think it was 76 cents. But going forward, the rate that will pay the debt service will be here at 92 cents per 100. All other of our tax rates remain the same. We have adopted in this year's budget how the county manages the match with their employees. Currently, we just do the employee only. Why the county matches employee and child, employee, spouse, employee, family. They also, on a matching basis, they also make their employees match if single some of the premium. We were able to accommodate that, which I think, particularly since we have some young employees who are starting families, once they get the license, that health insurance, family coverage means a big difference. So if they can move to Caroline County or Hanover or Spotsylvania and get that health insurance, that'll be a big incentive for them to move. So we want to, since we've invested in training and getting these people licensed, we want them to stay with us. So talking with the Budget Committee, we felt that this would be, and it's the final step with making our pay scale and compensation competitive to keep our licensed people in place. We also have we followed what the state recommendation was on compensation plan this year for state employees, which was not to give a base across the board raise, but a one-time 3% payment in December. Overall, the budget, direct general fund budget goes up by $66,000 this year. The cost mostly reflects, as you can see, in Public Works, Police Department's health insurance. The Clerk Treasurer's office is health insurance, and Melissa returning to full-time employment. So basically, it's hold the line budget, no increases other than to achieve that goal. Our transfers to different programs, basically, the only increase we have in that was a request from the EDA to have $10,000 to fund the facade program or other development opportunities they may have. So our other fund expenditures, again, the increases you see basically are reflecting the cost of the health insurance. And also there was, in last year, when you review the line item budget, you will also note that that there was a calculation that was off a bit in the, I believe it was disability payments, but that line item's been corrected. So again, the totality of $1 million plus plan, we're talking about an increase of $39,000. This just gives you a general pictorial view. As you can see, about half our budget comes from the general fund. Our sewer and water are the other major portion. Debt service, which is again financed through the general fund, and the special assessment on the 301 tax district. 10% of our budget. In activities, we collect, of course, revenues to participate in Harvest Fest and Wine Festival and those type of programs. In summary, our one thing I should note on this, it's our beginning general fund balance is larger than I had anticipated. Because our revenues, even with impacts on the meals tax this year, due to primarily the bank franchise tax coming in $150,000 higher than we had projected, that our unassigned fund balance grew this year instead of declining, is what the projection was last year. So again, as I said, last year we had, I believe, like $89,000 projected deficit. The experience has been that, generally speaking, your revenues come stronger because we use conservative estimates, and you never spend all the money, generally speaking, than what's appropriated. The one area that we have issues with are, of course, our water and sewer system, and those are supported through not the general fund, but through the rates on those two systems. So basically, we're in good shape. And like I said, on the unassigned fund balance, I also just did project a decrease in the meals tax of about 50% March through July. This, I should have changed this slide. This was a May presentation. The budget hearing, instead of being May 7th, we're requesting be done at the June meeting, and that then we would publish the tax ordinance after the June meeting and adopt the budget the latter part of June, and the tax ordinance at that time. And that's a later agenda item. So again, I sent out to the council the line item. We've posted the line item on our webpage, and we've provided at least one and a copy of the line item. And then the public hearing will be, if you approve me, the ad that I have requested in this agenda item, we'll have the hearing at the June meeting. And that's my presentation.
Okay, do we have a motion to authorize the town manager to publish the attached public hearing notice?
Jason, this is Jean, and I have a question.
Yes, Gene.
Reese said when he was talking about the $10,000 that the EDA had requested for the facade improvement. It wasn't my understanding that we were asking $10,000 for the facade improvement. It was in case someone came along and we needed legal help or whatever. The facade improvement right now has been suspended. Is that not correct, Glenn?
Glenn, you're muted.
What?
You're still muted, Glenn.
So, yeah, that's correct.
So,
I may have misspoke. Could you tell everybody what the EDA would want to use that money for?
The EDA uses money for.
Hey, Reese, we had, the reason we talked about giving the money after it is for the EDA to go ahead and reinstate the facade program because they postponed it because they were low on funds. Am I not correct on that?
Yeah, we've expended a lot of funds out on the on that particular project in there, but we've also have Joe also is going to do some marketing, some other things that are out there. And quite frankly, guys, if we have anybody that comes in that looks at that property that we own out there, again, I'll remind you, it costs us $25,000 for 5 acres, that we're going to need some funding to support that. You know, only makes sense it's in there. We did typically not spend it. It has not been spent recklessly. It's been invested well. And so we would request that money be back in that $25,000.
Yeah, but the land was given to y'all because they could not go back to the original owners because they had already deducted on taxes. So it really didn't cost y'all anything on that property.
It did cost us because we had legal fees, Mark. That's part of what we had to do.
But $10,000 isn't just for you, the EDA, to put out just on that piece of property. That's part of the deal. And that's why we said to ask for some money, but we need to make it feasible for everybody in this town and not just for y'all to concentrate on that 5 acres out there. I mean, I'm sorry, but we're going back to, we can't afford to increase the water rates, and I can't afford to give you money to land out there.
Yeah, we might not be able to afford to give you more stuff on your facade improvement program either. So we won't have any money.
I mean, that there adds a whole lot to the image of the town. And the people, it gives them an incentive to hopefully rebuild the front of their buildings up. I'm not trying to dispute y'all needing it. I'm just saying we need to concentrate it on that as well. It's not solely just for that 5 acres out there.
No, the $10,000 is not for the 5 acres. That is correct. But we need money to be able to market the project, market it out there, and reach out to attorneys. Attorneys are not cheap, and you want to do it right.
Now, as long as y'all ain't going for that motel no more, because I don't think that's going to happen.
There may be other items.
We're not here to discuss that project or that
I'm sorry,
property.
you're right, but I'm just saying, I just
We're
want to see that money used wisely in a fashion that benefits the town, Main Street, any business district,
Right now, we're in a discussion to approve to make a motion to authorize for the public hearing is what we're looking for at this time.
I didn't bring it up, but anyhow. I make a motion that we allow the town manager to go out for a public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion by Mark. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Valerie. Any further discussion?
Yeah, this is only to go out for public hearing, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. And then we're going to have further discussion on the budget here shortly. Correct?
Now, this was just the first proposal. We'll have further discussion at the next work session and further on, correct?
I'd like to have some further discussion tonight, if that's possible, after this motion is either accepted or declined.
Sure.
Okay.
We'll go in the reverse order. Valerie?
Aye.
Otis?
Yes.
Glenn?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jean?
Yes.
Deborah?
Yes.
Tammy?
Tammy's muted.
Just raise your hand if you're yes.
She said yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Mr. McDermott, you had a comment on the budget presentation?
Yeah, I thought we'd have a couple of questions, if you don't mind. Looks like, as we talked about, the 10% increase rate in the water is going to generate about $40,000 for the community. And what I would like to see the town manager do is to go back into the budget and find somewhere that we can reduce the out-of-pocket expenses for the community by that $40,000 or that 10%. There's got to be somewhere in the budget that you can find that to make that happen. We need to go back and take a look at that. Also, I have some concerns about the county health program. What's the financial impact on us in regards to that when they have more than themselves, they have their family in there? There seems to be, my understanding with the county is that it's a significantly higher rate. For example, it might be $600 now with somebody, you bring the family and it might be $12. And we're bearing that cost. Is that what I understand?
Yep.
You're correct.
That's right.
The cost for family is significantly higher, but on our current workforce, we only have a couple people that'll go to the family, and most of the majority of the employees are on another health plan. And instead, they take the option of, instead of taking health insurance, they take the contribution to a 457 program, which based upon earlier recommendations of Gene Davis, was capped at 500 and some odd dollars, which is significantly lower than what the current insurance premium is for an employee.
Right.
So we were able to accommodate that with relatively little impact on the budget, not increasing taxes. Long-term wise, when you bring on new employees, if they're young and have families, the cost of adding to a changing workforce will probably be more expensive if you replace your older workers who are on other plans or Medicare with younger families. But under the current budget, you saw that the two big budgets the three budgets that were increased in those earlier slides were in police department, public works, and the clerk treasurer's office. And each one was addition of one person, I believe.
Oh, so that there was like a $75,000 increase in the staff budget, somewhere in that range, I believe. Seems
well. And part of it was also Melissa returning full time.
Right. And so, just a question. I mean, we've got 3 full-time people now. How were we doing it before? 2.5, Melissa and.
Well, actually, we're going to get written up in our audits for the past practice of not having enough people in the finance office to have dual roles. And that's one of our responses is by having Tracy's position. Now we have those checks and balances between Melissa and Tracy's access to the right system, payroll system, and accounts payable system.
Okay, so do we need to look and see and make sure that we may want to gear back some staff on the other side of that? I know Melissa needs to be full-time, and it sounds like Tracy does. Do we need to do something else on the other side of that coin?
You know, I think you're adequately staffed here. If you want to look at staff reductions, I think the appropriate time would be when I step down. Maybe you might do some restructuring. Long-term wise, the big general fund, you know, we're in one sense is your police department, where you went to full-time office there, and that's a big general fund. And like I said, long-term wise, once we get the water project done, you may be able to go back to 2 people instead of 3 people in public works and water.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, we just got enough people to cover shifts.
Yeah.
Not like we have a big.
Yeah, I'd like for you to go back and take a look at that. I do have a question on your pie chart that you had up. I don't see anything in your revenue in regards to, you know, we've been doing a good job with fines. The police, the sheriff, our guys have been doing a good job there. I don't see anything in there revenue in regards to those fines. Is that part of our revenue stream?
You mean for signs? That'd be under zoning permit fees.
It'd be under county permit fees? Why would it be under there?
Zoning permit fees.
I think he's talking about the police fines.
Yes, police fines.
And what's the question on that?
Where are they located in the revenue stream? Are they under general fund?
They're under that line item. It's like 40,000. It's in the general fund. Goes into the general fund.
Is there?
We don't dedicate any of our other water sewer. We don't earmark funds. The general good fiscal policy. They go into the general funds, and the council decides how to spend them.
So a question for you, and we talked a little bit about the impact of the coronavirus on the businesses that we have here, sales tax, meals tax, those kind of things. And you made some adjustments in there. Do you think you've got adequate adjustments in there? I mean, it looks like it's not significantly different, too much from last year. And I think you told me, we had a discussion that you overestimated your budget last year, the revenue side, and underestimated expenditures, but it sounds like the bank stock came in $150,000 more than expected, which was really good. So where are we with that? How did you come up with the calculation on what those funds are?
Our revenues are basically our current how I'd end the year. It's basically we're ahead in a couple different categories. We may come up a little bit short in fines because they haven't been writing, but we were ahead in meals tax substantially. That's why I discounted the sales 50% there. But pretty much you go through the line items, and it's a little bit here and it's a little bit there that we've come in strong on. Plus, we did a correct billing with the county. They weren't being billed in the past, and when we sat down to start making annual adjustments to their billing and to ensure things were billed correctly, we identified a little over $20,000 of underbillings that had taken place, which they
on the water side
this year.
Yeah, that was on the water side.
Water and sewer, I believe.
Yeah. Right.
No, water. Is this water? Yeah.
Okay.
It was just sewer. It was in the bulk sewer.
It's just sewer.
Okay. So, you know, when we look around the area that we have that we live in here, we see a couple of towns being a little innovative. For example, like West Point, because of things that are going on, you know, the COVID virus we all are getting hit by. They've got a pretty innovative program of giving each one of their residents a $50 voucher to be spent only by to the businesses in town, as an incentive to have them stimulate the town revenue. You know, maybe we want to think about something like that. In addition to that, they have a 6.6% reduction in their tax, in their real estate tax. I know Essex is looking at reducing their real estate tax also. We may want to take a look at some innovative things like that to help our community out.
Yeah, and Glenn, just and I know a little bit about Essex. Probably the same things over at West Point. It's coming out of their unassigned fund balances that are pretty healthy. It actually, you know, you can't do it long-term wise, but there may be a bit of room for a one-year type voucher program or what have you. You know, I was going to sit down with, I think we're the target I'm going to suggest to the policy committee is going to probably be in the 20 to 25% of your general fund, and we're at about 28% of our general fund budget. You know, I project to 280,000, was probably comfortable in the 200,000 to $250,000 that you keep in that fund. So, I mean, there is a possibility for a one-year drawdown, and that also gives me comfort, even with the adjustments I've made to our revenues, that we've got enough cushion there, unassigned fund balance. Because what I want to do is I want to use some money in some of the out years from that built-up fund to lessen the rate increase every year until we get it up, so we can stretch it out over multiple years. So we can look at things like that, but again, it'll be like one-time money.
Yep, let's take a look at those. Let's be innovative. Let's look at some way to get the $40,000 back into the pocket of the community for that 10% raise. And quite frankly, I'm not really in favor of a 3% increase across the board. I think as tight as times are right now, you know, I got a good job, and I think we pay them packages around for a small community.
Yeah, it's not, Glenn, it's not a 3% across the board raise. It's not a raise. It's just a one-time
bonus
payment.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're and that's about $20,000.
Right.
Which again, you can also just, you can take it out. You can say, let's wait till July instead of December, or June instead of December, to see if revenues come in. When I was with the state, I think it actually was May or April. They waited to see what the revenues were. But those are all possibilities. Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at them, and next time when we talk about this, you give us some feedback on that. I'd appreciate that.
Hey, Reese,
Yes.
what's left in the special event budget since we cut out the wine festival this year? We can transfer that money back somewhere, can't we?
I'd have to talk to Joe Elsa. I think we were going to have, because Joe Elsa, are you still on?
She is.
Melissa, do you know? Yeah, was this the year where we were having twice? Is this the year where we were having it twice in the same fiscal year, or was that last year?
It's
The wine
it's
festival?
every year.
Yeah.
It's every
We
year.
corrected it
because it's-
we corrected it last year by giving it an
Okay.
extra allocation.
Yeah, Glenn. So that money could be transferred back in if we aren't going to this year.
That was
Well, I don't guess anybody on the council would have a problem with maybe a $50 voucher to the residents so they can spend it only back in town.
I think it's something that we should definitely look at and bring in June and show us how we're going to fund it and put some rules to how we're going to spend it and how we're going to require them to spend it.
Yeah, got to spend it in town or you can't get it. One of the two. It's a voucher for town.
And we also have to have some type of rule of what happens if they don't spend it at all. How do we recoup that money, or we put the voucher out there. So
yeah, let's work on those details. I think that would be an incentive and a good faith effort for our community.
Keep in mind, the voucher, it's not a $50 voucher. It is 10 $5 vouchers for businesses in town.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's
yeah, that's the type of details we need just worked out and confirmed, and
that way go through more businesses.
And at the June meeting, we can approve what's presented.
Yeah,
Andrea, is that something the town council can do? Is that something though that we have to give the money like to the EDA to set up a program?
No, the town council could do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. I would be happy to assist in any way on that, Glenn,
Okay.
and you all, once you've talked about that. I'd be
All right,
happy to help
Valerie,
facilitate.
maybe you, yeah, thank you, Joe. I also appreciate that. Valerie, maybe you and I'll talk about it and get some details together.
Great.
Okay.
Okay. The next item on the agenda will be.
Oh, wait a minute. This is June, and I have a question to Reese. Back to the bank stop tax. You said this year we got 150,000, which we were not expecting, and you got 225 down, an increase of 75,000. Do you think that's reasonable based on what's going on with this virus and everything? That we're going to get an extra 75,000?
We got 300,000, or we're going to get 300,000 this year, and basically it's on the net capital of the bank, and I'm not sure how. Actually, I think the banks may be coming out of this okay because of all the increased activity in lending and particularly the guarantees they're getting on the loans they're making. So. It's budgeted significantly lower than the 300,000 we got this year, and it's like I said, that plus we have a good cushion in the unassigned fund balance. So I'm comfortable with it, but it's
okay. I just It's not something that's guaranteed. That's what bothers me a little bit. You don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be come out anytime, Reese. You don't know.
Yeah. And they don't, and it's every year, we don't know until, is it March, Melissa?
Yes, it's March we find out, and then I believe we receive it in June.
Yeah. They take the snapshot at year end, the calendar year end, and then they do the calculations and, it gets spread out against all the jurisdictions that the bank has offices in, and they give you the proportional share of what your office is of the overall corporate pie.
Yeah, but as you know, at one time, and we hope that'll never happen, it had been talked about giving it all to the Richmond, for the main office. So that's what really bothers me, Reese. You know, you don't know.
You don't, and that's why you have the unassigned fund balance of here again, the target I'm going to recommend is $200,000 to $250,000. That's why you have that, just for those occurrences.
Okay,
And
thank you.
It'll get you through that year, but then if that does happen, you've got to make some really hard decisions.
Right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, are we ready to move to the next item of rescheduling the July 2nd council meeting? I believe if we were looking to move it, it would be moved to the 9th.
So we were
No,
need to move it up to the end of June.
June 25th or June 30th?
Okay, I guess I just wanted to, I'm sorry, I didn't read that part of the thing. I thought we were just moving it due to the holiday, but I see.
We're moving it so we can approve the budget.
I see that now.
Yeah. We can't adopt the budget until 7 days after you have your hearing. In addition, I need to publish the ordinance for the taxes, and if you don't approve, so I've got to wait for you to say whether you approve the budget, which would necessitate those increases, and I've got to publish that twice after that decision's been made to move forward.
So what is council's pleasure, the 25th or the 30th?
25th.
25th is good for me too.
Fine with me.
Fine with me.
Is there a motion? Is there a motion to approve moving the July 2nd town council meeting to June 25th?
I'll make that motion.
And that's
Motion by
June
Mark.
25th at 7 p.m.
At 7 p.m.
I second the motion.
Second by Tammy. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Valerie?
Aye.
Otis?
Aye.
Glenn?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Jean?
Aye.
Deborah?
Aye.
And Tammy.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. We will start with council committees or member comments. Valerie?
Nothing, status quo with planning commission. Again, as Joelsa mentioned, we're just waiting to find out a time for the future mapping. If that's June 22nd, great. We'll just see how everything plays out by June.
Okay. Otis?
I don't have anything.
Glenn?
The EDA hasn't met, but we have an interest in the property. Some general discussions with COVID has kind of put that on hold. In addition to that, I was contacted by the president of the Retail Merchant Association of Virginia. He's interested in helping us market our project out here at 301 corridor, and anything else he can do to help the town. So I'll be reaching back to get some documentation on a couple of things from the town.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Yeah, we're looking at having a meeting in the next couple of weeks. We will sit down with a request from the chief on what he's looking for in his next contract. And besides on a different note from the meeting, just to let everyone know that the Bowling Green Main Street Group, or excuse me, the Bowling Green Virginia Community Alliance received their nonprofit status on April 14th. So we're now nonprofit, and we're going to start trying to proceed on here and what we can do to help out this town.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Jean?
Yeah, all of you know about the passing of Hardy Dunnington, who was a member of the EDA, so I guess we're going to be probably looking for someone to replace him. So if anybody has any ideas, I guess, a very big loss to the EDA. That's all.
Deborah?
Yeah, I think Mark pretty much said, I mean, we talked a lot about the budget, which you guys heard tonight, so there's really nothing else on our part.
Thank you. Tammy?
We haven't had a meeting either for the sidewalks and utility committee, and I haven't heard any update from VDOT on the sidewalks either. Is anybody else?
Yes, I can. I saw them out on the south end of town. They have marked some sidewalks. They have identified quite a few spots that need to be replaced. They were waiting for the contract to expire from the previous contractor. They put it out for bid. The only contractor that responded was the previous contractor. So he will be the same one going forward, but the good part of that is he knows what we expect and how we expect his job sites to be left daily. So
exactly.
Dominion has been through town cutting the right-of-ways also. I worked with a property owner on Milford Street that was causing sidewalk issues taken down across from, I think it was 128 Milford Street. Dominion took down a tree at no cost that was causing sidewalk issues also. So I passed that on to the gentleman, Rick, that I saw from VDOT to look at that spot. That was a trip hazard pointed out over the summer to me. I don't have a time frame on when they're going to be here to do the repairs that they've marked, but I saw them out here marking. I've seen them back with, I would assume, the contractor with the wheel measuring. And so who knows when, but they are coming in. Oh, I do know this. I spoke with Lynn from VDOT. They're trying to get this in on this fiscal budget, so they're trying to get it done as quickly as possible.
Well, she said late spring, early summer, but I hadn't heard anything, so I'm glad you've seen some action down there. Another note on the COVID, I just want to let you guys know that Stafford County's public parks and recreation has shut down all activities through the summer. All their kids, all their camps have all been suspended through the summer. Fredericksburg is looking at the same thing to suspend all of theirs too. I just wanted to let you know that on a side note for us.
Okay. I would just like to echo what Gene said earlier about Hardy. It was very sorry to hear of his passing and the time and dedication that he gave to our town when he really lived just outside of town, there in the last few years. So he's going to be a hard one to replace. He loved this town probably more than most of us do, and that's saying a lot. So I was sorry to see that we have lost another good gentleman in town. I also want to thank staff for all that they've done to get us through this COVID situation. Thank council for being willing to adapt to this Zoom meeting. We got that echo again. And everybody, it's been tough. It's been rough on everybody, but it's nice seeing people out supporting our businesses. I saw Deborah the other night on our hour wait for our food at the Mexican place, and I didn't hear anybody complain. They were all just happy to be supporting the local business. So it was good. So thank you for all that everybody's done to get us through this point. Just a friendly reminder that if you are up for re-election this year, you have to submit your paperwork by June, what was it? 9th. So there's a lot of decisions to be made between now and June 9th. So just take that in mind. And if you know of anybody that's interested in pursuing it, encourage them to do it. It's fun, they say. So.
I have one more comment for Reese. Reese, you still there? Reese, are you still there?
Yes. Yes, I'm still here.
You very well professionally handled the homeowners problem there on Milford. Thank you for that. I saw that you had an issue over there, but the very next day the grass was cut.
Yep. She was very cooperative.
Hey, Jason, before we adjourn, talking about this matter on Maury Avenue, I know you say we're looking into further investigations on it. Recourse as far as on Kelvin's side about reimbursing us if we end up paying these people for the work they've done in their yard because they failed to hook them up. I mean, what are we looking at on that?
Everything is being reviewed. Everything is being considered at this time. There's got to be there's more to it than just us paying a $5,000 bill. I spoke with the town manager today, and until we have a full report on things such as the condition of the previous line that was in place, condition of why there were two lines there, where they were going, what was hooked up, what wasn't. We need a full report before we can justify or we can say that we need to reimburse at that amount. So we're going to cross our T's and dot our I's on every part of that.
Great.
Very good. I'll make a motion we adjourn.
I have one quick comment, though. It might be very appropriate for the town to send some kind of a thank you to Hardy's wife. He did serve the town for a long time, very, very dedicated to the town. Melissa,
we did.
Did we do something?
We did send flowers on behalf of the town.
Okay, perfect. No, that's perfect. Great. Good job. No, that's it for me.
Okay.
I'm good.
Mark, we have a
motion. EDA also, Glenn. EDA sent them also.
Okay, cool. Good. Good job.
And I heard a motion for adjournment from Mark. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Deborah. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Melissa, thank you so much for getting this set up. We really appreciate it.
And Jeff, thank you also.
Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.